as excited as I am for this $500,000 reptile unboxing. As you can tell, there's some pretty crazy things in this order. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of these, but this is a Shingleback skink. Not something you see every day. Let's get started with Northern Lights Reptile Imports and unboxing $500,000 worth of incredibly rare reptiles, especially in North America. Let's go! Shinglebacks are definitely something that you do not see every day. They're from the genus Calico, which is the same as the blue tongues that you see, and they are characterized by one of their crazy shield-like heads, their insane scalation down their back, and just a super chill personality. If you guys didn't know, Shinglebacks are actually monogamous pairs. Typically they live alone throughout most of the year, but when it comes time to breeding season, they reunite with the mate that they previously mated with last year. They breed once and basically mate for essentially life. They're not entirely sure if it's really life or if it's just several years back to back to back. Just stunning. Bright orange head. Gorgeous. I love these guys so much. I'm so happy we get to see so many of them today. And just so you guys are aware, before we get super far into the unboxing, these are all imports. Northern Lights Reptile Imports, or Ashley as we know her, is in charge of this. We are just here helping her get everything settled, everything in, and I thought it'd be a really cool experience to share some reptiles that you guys probably don't see all that frequently. Leave in the comments down below what your favorite reptile is. If you guys want to see more videos like this, she brings in imports fairly frequently, so I might be able to do it a little bit more often. If you guys do want to see more, make sure you click that subscribe button. Of course, click the like button if you do enjoy this kind of thing, and let's get rolling. This is one of the first reptiles that came out. This is a beautiful Salturius cornutus, otherwise known as the northern leaf-tailed gecko. And as crazy as it sounds, they're actually mimics for rocks, not for leaves. They are specialists that love to go cool for brumation, like 5 degrees Celsius, and then they can range a little bit warmer during the summer. Just a stunning reptile that you pretty much never see. And there's more where that came from. This is another leaf-tailed gecko from Australia. This is Phylurus amicola. Again, I mean, you guys can see just how insane they blend in with cork. I mean, if he wasn't running around right now, imagine trying to see that. Very similar care to the last one that you guys just saw. Absolutely gorgeous. And this one's definitely a bit more active, so I gotta be careful. Stunning species. I can't wait for these to get a little bit more popular in the States, and just gorgeous. Right here I have a Geckoella jeyporensis. This is the Jeypore's Indian gecko, one of the very cool species that are from Jeypore forest in India. These guys are in captivity, captive bred. It's great that they are being captive bred because their natural range is actually under quite significant pressure from deforestation and mining. I'm not sure how well you guys can tell. These guys particularly have insanely beaded scales. Not something that is typical with this genus, but you can see it in other lizards like the beaded lizards and other North American lizards. With that being said though, it's time to move to the next animal. Let's go!
We were like, okay, we just need this gone.
This right here is Underwoodosaurus millii, or millie, otherwise known as the barking gecko, the thick-tailed gecko, and the plethora of other names. You guys might be able to tell that it is actually an albino. So that's very exciting, but beyond that, these guys are found in the southern regions of Australia, a very unique species of gecko that you don't see all that frequently. Unfortunately, they are actually a pretty cool species of gecko that a lot of people should have, but this guy is destined for the States, of course, because Canadians love crested geckos and ball pythons. You can definitely see why it's called a thick-tailed gecko, because the base of its tail is extremely dense and thick, and he's just waking up, so I don't want to keep him out for too terribly long. Right here I have a Strophrus elderi, otherwise known as the jeweled gecko. With such a crazy range, these guys are found throughout most of Australia, but they're restricted to the Spinifex grass, and that provides them with shelter as well as foraging sites. So a really cool gecko that you don't see too often. It might be in the savings plan now. Here we have an extremely rare species of skink, so much so that there's not really any photos of them alive. This is called the odd-chinned giant skink. As you can see, it's fairly lengthy. It does have a little bit of a regen tail, but holy smokes, these guys are actually really neat. I don't trust him for a single second just because he's chill right now does not mean he will remain chill. But these guys are found across Indonesia. You can find them on like Halmahera and a couple different places, but realistically, there's almost no information about them. So I don't have a whole lot to say about it other than it is a very cool species of skink and certainly not something that you see every day. You guys might recognize this. This is an Egernia depressa. These guys are a very cool species of skink that you don't see too much and are characterized by their very spiky looking tail. They're super cool. They inhabit much of Western Australia and are typically found in very tight cracks in trees and rock crevices and stuff like that. They are one of these skinks that actually raises their young as like a family unit. These guys are such an interesting species of skink. I guess that's one of the themes right now is just really cool skinks coming through Canada. This one's not staying here, unfortunately. This is a little baby rhino rat, as I know them, and as you probably know them as well. It's a little lanky guy. These guys you can find all throughout China and Vietnam. This one will end up being a very beautiful green coloration. As babies, they like to eat live fish, so they can be kind of a testy beginning feeding type snake. Once you get them going, they'll eat a crazy diverse diet with fish, chicks, even some rodents. Really, really cool species and definitely something that you don't see too terribly often. Although now I think they're becoming a little bit more popular. Another really cool import that came into Canada. Absolutely gorgeous. Guys, right here we have an extremely rare lily white crested gecko. What do you know? They're going for dirt cheap. Get them while you can. A little bit of satire for those of you that also aren't the hugest fans of cresties. To be honest, I actually do enjoy crested geckos, but they're just not something that I'm like super interested in keeping anymore. And these are all lily whites to a certain degree. This is a western blue-tongued skink. They are almost non-existent in Canada, but this is Taliqua occipitalis. This one's very dark right now because he is just shipped in and hasn't quite warmed up yet, but holy smokes. Certainly not every day you see something this crazy. This one is actually staying in Canada, so that is so exciting to have some more representation of the species in Canada. They are extremely, extremely rare across the world, unless you're from Australia, in which case this video is like common animals that you see every day. If not, definitely don't see these guys very often. Not common in the hobby whatsoever. And moving away from some of the skink content, we can dive into some very spicy boys. These are the Tramosaurus trigonocephalus, or the Sri Lankan green pitviper. These guys are one of the most beautiful vipers that I've seen in my entire life. They're endemic to Sri Lanka, as their common name would suggest. They're highly nocturnal. They're going to reach only about 24 to 30 inches. They're strictly arboreal, and they have a hemotoxic venom. Not something terribly fatal, but definitely not something that you want to take a tag from. Moving on from that, we have another beautiful pit viper. This is the Tramosaurus flavomaculatus, or the Philippines pit viper. To me, it looks like a Christmas viper. These guys are semi-arboreal. They span across many of the islands in the Philippines, eating things like frogs and lizards and the occasional rodent. Again, these guys also have a hemotoxic venom, which affects the circulatory system, muscle tissue, joint tissue, that kind of deal. Again, not something you want to take a bite from. These guys are here being babysat until they are shipped out to the States, and I'll take this opportunity to highlight a couple of the animals that Ashley has in her personal collection before hopping back into the unboxing. Starting off Ashley's collection strong with Boiga bengkuluensis, or the Bengkulu Cat Snake. These guys are a really cryptic species of Boiga. They have the typical Boiga body structure of very thin and lanky, but get quite long. They reach up to 6 feet in length. There are unconfirmed sightings of them in Thailand, but they are native to Sumatra. They are an extremely rare species of cat snake and have only actually been produced in captivity twice. Ashley has some eggs cooking right now, so potentially a third one is on the way. Moving from them, we have the Chironeus sculuris, or the red machete snake. Incredible species that you probably haven't heard of. These guys start off a bright green color, as you guys can see right here. They go through an ontogenetic color change to a deep red coloration. These guys are an extremely active species of diurnal snake that get quite large, topping out around 7 feet plus. They get the name machete snake from their enlarged rear teeth, which they use for immobilizing prey by slicing through it. Not something you really want to mess with just for that alone. Something of note of the machete snakes is their diet. They are strictly frog eaters. They're very difficult to keep in captivity because sourcing that many frogs, as you can probably imagine, is extremely difficult. And finally, we can top off the few of Ashley's snakes that I highlighted with the eastern garter snake, Thamnophis sertalis. If you're from out east, you have surely seen them. They're an extremely common, interactive, but communal snake. As you can see, I can tap the front and they all come running. These guys are being housed in a 6-foot long viv by 30 by 30 with plenty of basking area and a really neat setup overall. They stay pretty small, which is great. They're a really cool beginner species and an incredibly rewarding species to keep. We can now move away from Ashley's collection and get back to the unboxing, starting with these gorgeous Australian lizards.
Australian frill dragons actually get bigger than Indonesians. Indonesians are about 2 foot average. These guys get around 3 foot average.
Oh, and the Australian water dragons are just cool in every way.
Pretty much, yeah. They're basically the pigeons of Australia.
Here we have the gorgeous Goniosoma frenatum, otherwise known as the Rein Snake. These guys are a stunning species of rat snake from Taiwan, reaching a maximum length of about 5.5 feet. They exist in shrubs, low trees, and bamboo forests. Like many Goniosoma, they're a very slender body snake, and they carry a pretty testy personality. With that testy personality, you want to make sure they don't clamp onto you for too long because there is definitely some toxicity to their bite. I'm speaking from experience when I say that, not a pleasant time. Several of these arrived in the shipment, and a couple of them are actually going to somebody that you might know fairly well.
Hey, what's up, creatures? It's Em.
Good luck, Em, and I hope you do well with these snakes. They're a true treasure, and I'm sure you'll enjoy them.
Grodon longarostris. So literally long.
Long nose.
Yeah. They get around 3 feet, 3.5 feet. A lot of tail, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, I guess that's true. Do they get a lot more color or not so much?
A little bit. They'll get a bigger crest. All males do anyway.
They more of an arid or more of a tropical?
Very deserty. They like to sit on top of rocks and survey their land, you know, kind of thing.
I think I've heard of the genus before, but I've never really seen them.
This is a Madagascar leaf-nosed snake. Langaha madagascariensis.
Lizard feeders?
Yes. See, he behaves like a twig.
Whoa.
You kind of...
Oh, yeah. That's so weird.
This is an exceptional one. You know, normally they're not this red. They're brown.
How common are they?
Not.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've never seen one before.
Just sad attempt at a hood.
Yeah. Best he can do.
Thrassops occidentalis.
Oh.
These are actually related to boomslangs, but not lethal.
Gorgeous. South African still?
Yep.
For African, I guess.
Yeah, African in general. They're very bite reluctant, so that's the only reason why I'm doing it.
And what is frog eater?
These guys often will eat birds.
Okay.
And lizards, especially chameleons.
No. Like flapnecks and stuff?
Yeah. Anything they could find that moves that's not a rodent. In captivity, they could be adjusted to rodents, but they get fat really easily off rodents.
Like once a month kind of feeding?
More or less. Lophosaurus dilophus. These spikes will usually get around as long as their longest toe.
What?
Yeah.
Do they get much more color, or are they just kind of an impressive lizard?
They're just a very impressive prehistoric looking creature.
Alright guys, it has been an entire day of filming and getting animals out of boxes and into containers and just everything all put together. And as you can see, there is no light outside. That was weird.
No light outside.
Okay. There is no longer any light outside. It has been about 6 hours since we've been here, and the time has come. It's time to wrap up this video. So if you guys like this video and you want to see more, maybe in depth the next one, leave a comment down below, click subscribe, and of course click the like button. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, you can leave them in the comment section as well. We'll catch you in the next one. Later.